Welcome to the Sacred Window podcast. Here, we look closely at the intersections of the postpartum window, the Ayurvedic perspective on health and healing, and the universal mother principles that are the keys to giving and receiving effective care. Hello, I'm Devlin Eck. I'll be taking you through interviews with professionals who are making a profound difference in the lives of their clients, conversations with individuals brave enough to share their stories of vulnerability as a way to lift up others, and my own journey through birth, parenting, caregiving, and building a conscious business. We are here to honor the sacred windows, the profound transitions in life that give it all meaning. Welcome to the conversation.
And I will never be the same again.
Welcome to the Sacred Window podcast. My name is Devlin Eck. I'm so happy to be here today to speak about the universal mother principles. These principles have shown themselves to be woven into every aspect of my life, and the way that we have built this program, the way that we have built our work here at the Center for Sacred Window Studies. And as I move through the world, I continuously see how they are applicable to every aspect of the way that humans connect. And I'm going to talk about them here today because as I was developing my curriculum way back in 2018, 2017, I guess, when we had started to build our curriculum for our very first certification program in conscious postpartum care. Back then, Ayurvedic postpartum care was what it was titled. I literally went all the way to what is it that actually creates the ability for someone to heal? What is it that actually creates the pathway for receiving care that actually works? How can the care provider show up and facilitate that experience? It's so much more, as we know, it's so much more than just going through the motions. There's an undercurrent, there's a subtle aspect of this, and I couldn't stop thinking about that because I was going to be teaching the foundations of postpartum care, and I needed to really feel into what is it that a doula can bring that goes beyond their training and their skill set. What is it that they can bring that helps develop bonding and trust with their clients? What is it that helps us feel at ease when we're in somebody else's care? Because I knew for sure that there were times where I was in somebody's care and I certainly did not feel like I could really trust them or really feel like I could totally release and be held by them with complete comfort. And it was that I wanted to know what that was. And as I was pondering this and meditating on this, it became very clear. I heard the universal mother principles, which, as I've taught and explained and explored this on my own and with many, many students over the years, we call them the mother principles, but it's so beyond gender. It's not about male or female. It's about universal divine feminine. It is about feeling. It is about that subtle essence of, the yin and the yang, the passive, the receptive, the creative, the energetic divine feminine that must be present in equal to the active divine masculine in order for us to completely feel healing and balance within when we're receiving care, and also when we're giving care to others. See, because these universal mother principles, which are so needed in our very masculine dominant culture in our world right now, we're craving that divine feminine understanding and that divine feminine influence on our lives. So when we come in contact with these universal mother principles through people that we interact with, through being able to exhibit them ourselves with people that we're interacting with, we immediately feel a connection. We immediately feel a shift, an increase of safety, of trust, of bonding, of ease, of willingness to go there, to surrender anything that's walling or barring us from the full experience. We're able to be whole within it. And so this is why I continuously talk about these universal mother principles, because we can have all the training. We can have years and years of complex certifications and licensures and degrees and all of it. And yet, if we don't have the ability to connect with people and access the true possibility within relationship and connection, none of that will go the distance it needs to go and could go if we have these universal mother principles at the head of whatever it is that we're doing. So this episode is really looking at these. I've never done an episode about this, and it feels so incredibly exciting and just important because it's the core of who I am as a director of this organization and what we're doing here in our programs. And this is at the essence. I always tell students, if you know nothing about postpartum care, about doula care, about any of it, and yet you approach somebody with these universal mother principles as your intention, they will feel cared for. We don't have to have all of the answers. We can have a network of people to help us. But if we come in with these principles, we're doing an incredible service to helping someone feel cared for. So let's dive in. We always start out with intention. And this is something that I didn't always do, but over the years, working with my incredible team, we have come to start everything, whether it's a caregiving journey, whether it's a new project that we have, whether it's a new group of students coming in. What is it that we want to do? What do we want to see happen? What is the feeling that we want to create? When I come into a new family's home, I'm going to pause outside of their home and I'm going to gather myself and I'm going to set an intention for how I want to show up for these people, how I want to experience the caregiving process myself. What is it that I want to bring? And so when I'm able to just quiet myself and say a moment of intention, this is what I want it to be. As I go through the experience, as I enter the home and go through the whole thing, it absolutely is directed into the direction that I put it. Things flow when we have a clear picture of what we want to experience. And so my intention might be to show up with love and openness and ease, knowing that it's okay for me not to have all the answers. I am coming as I am, and I will respond in the best way that I can and provide meaningful care to these beautiful people. Whatever my intention might be, my intention every day before I get out of bed is to be a great mom, to support and bring abundance to my family. Creating intention for me has become the ultimate roadmap for how I want any given moment to go. So starting with intention is huge. It gives you the GPS to say, this is where we're going. This is what we want to do. And everything that I do, therefore, is going to align into that direction. Once we've created that intention, let's go through the universal mother principles as I heard them download for me. And I also always remind you, like, what is missing here for you? What is a principle that should be here for you? This is not like an exhaustive, complete list. This is an opening. This is a consideration for you to feel into your own. And over the years, we've had many students who have brought in their own principles that are in complete alignment with them. And I love that. So think about it as you're listening to this episode. What else is coming up for you? So next we have simplicity. When someone is going through a big time of healing, after childbirth, entering into the postpartum window where our heart is wide open and vulnerable. We are at a place where we do need care. We need time. We need slowness. We need very deliberate care to respond to the unique circumstances that our bodies are going through in this window of time. Everything can come in very fast in postpartum. We're very high vata at that time, we would say in Ayurveda. So our sensory input is very heightened. We take things in very quickly. So therefore, when a caregiver is coming in to support, we want to keep things incredibly simple. Putting a whole bunch of information or heavy decision making or any type of major detailed lists or directions in front of someone who is in the postpartum window is not a good idea. It's too much to take in, it's too much to process. I remember coming out of Ayurveda school, and one of the last things we had to do was complete a number of clinical experiences with clients. So I remember working with, several people that I needed to work with, and I would come up with all these routines and suggestions and recommendations to help support them to balance out whatever issue they were working with at that time. And what I realized that when I would hand them a list of all these recommendations, they wouldn't do any of it because it was too much. It was too much to take at one time. I realized that I needed to be very simple and start slow. So what that tells me is that humans in general, living in the world that we live in, where we're doing so much. We have a lot of demand on us and we're trying to show up in all these ways. So any kind of thing that's too much will just not happen. So when I'm working with someone, I'm going to pick the simplest care routine or suggestion that will directly support whatever is the main thing that they're experiencing at that time that they want to correct. I'm going to keep it really simple. And in that way, they'll be able to take that in. Maybe that routine will settle. They've got it under control, and then we can add in something else. Similar with food, our digestive capability is very, very low after birth. And when people start just eating the same things that they used to eat, we've done many episodes on this. So please go back to the archives and look at the food ones, but we need to start simple. So in all of the ways, the universal mother principle of simplicity will help someone experience fully whatever it is that we are offering in terms of care. And it will be experienced and it will be digested and it will be integrated. And then we can build on that. The next universal mother principle is flexibility. Having the ability to bring in that water principle, that ability to move and flow with whatever is needed at the time. And as many of you listening probably know, the postpartum window and parenting in general is very unexpected. It's full of things that we might not expect are going to happen. So being able to bend and roll with it when we need to, and have that be a precedent. So we're going to flow. Oftentimes, when we start working with a client, we can have a plan. We can know what it is that we want to do, maybe what the routine is supposed to look like that day. But oftentimes it will need to shift based on how they're doing that day, how they slept the night before, how is nursing going, how is their body feeling, what is going on with the baby today. There's lots of ways in postpartum, but also in life, that things are not going to go the way we want. I can think of a million times in raising my boys where we had a plan, things were going to go this way, but they're humans and they're leading their own lives and human experiences. And so it's my job to work with them rather than structure it and put it on them. So flexibility and becoming comfortable and ready to roll with what's needed creates the ability for people to feel safe and not needing to meet others' expectations all the time, that they have the autonomy to just be in whatever space it is that they are, knowing that we'll meet them there. We'll meet them there. They don't have to come to meet us. And this creates a feeling of trust. How are you sharing your gifts and passion for caregiving with others? In a world where education and awareness around the postpartum window is lacking or missing from our modern systems, we have a profound opportunity to shift that paradigm. You may be a few simple offerings away from making a truly impactful difference in the lives of mothers and families in your community. We are here to support your journey in the ways that work best for you. Schedule a conscious care strategy session to meet one on one with me, and let's identify the right next step for you to begin a path of conscious care for new families that fits your life and your needs. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session to schedule a time that works best for you. That's www.sacredwindowstudies.com/strategy-session. The next one is compassion. This really stuck out to me one time when I was supporting someone in a birth that ended up needing to be a cesarean birth, and the hospital was gracious enough to allow me as their doula to come into the OR with them, with the couple. And I remember supporting them, and in the back of like the screen, and I'm just, holding space with this couple as they're meeting their new baby for the first time. It's so beautiful. And I'm listening to the doctor and the nurse and the midwife like chit-chatting about their weekend plans right in front of this couple who is welcoming their child into their lives. And I was so blown away by the lack of compassion and the lack of understanding that this was a life-changing moment for people in their care. And I really wanted them to just hold this space with me. But I think sometimes when we're going about our world, when we're in our zone, and I know that myself, when I get into like the zone of doing, I'm kind of like blinders on, and I don't always realize that someone walking next to me might be having an earth-shattering moment. And so there's this piece of like pausing to observe and hold space and just be reverent of a family who's going through something incredibly powerful. So it's almost like that feeling, that bedside manner in a way that when it's not there, we can tell. It's, we all have those stories of, oh, the nurses were so incredible. I just felt so, because they came with compassion. They listened to you and they had compassion, and they held you in the space that you were, and they saw you. So compassion is so piece of knowing that you're understood, and that enables a whole new level of access to allowing someone to care for us, to being given the opportunity to really be there for somebody in a way that is tremendously powerful. Another universal mother principle is these two are kind of connected to me, but listening and intuition are the next two. And so, along with compassion, in order to be compassionate, we've got to stop and observe and listen, right? We have to be able to give someone our attention so that we can really seek to understand what they're feeling, what they're going through. We get this opportunity when we deeply listen to fully get the scope of what's happening here, which will then completely inform our ability to say, you know what? I think we're going to shift what our plan was today because what I'm hearing is you didn't digest that food very well yesterday. You're kind of struggling with some elimination. Your milk supply is you're worried about this, or the baby woke up so many times last night, whatever it is. And I do this all the time with my family too, is just, with our children, especially now that some of mine are getting to be teenagers, they they tend to get quieter and I want them to share more. So this requires me to be an incredible listener and intuition kind of piggybacking off of listening. Once we are able to really deeply listen and understand what someone is going through, this gives us the opportunity to take what is unsaid that we're getting by observing them, observing their body language, observing their facial expressions, observing the tone of their voice, observing the energy, the feeling that they're exuding, and intuitively be able to respond. So, for example, in the postpartum window, the way a person's brain works is not the same as before they had the baby. So they are really keyed into feeling and subtle communication, which is why these principles are so vital. Because as we come into a caregiving situation, this is the first thing that's picked up on. This subtle intention that we're bringing in through these universal mother principles is the first thing that will be received. And then comes all the physical things and the more, detail oriented things. So when someone is in a state like the postpartum window or any kind of state of transition and overwhelm, we find that it's hard to identify what it is we really need. So if you ask someone in the postpartum window, what can I help you with? What would you like to eat today? It seems like such a simple question, but I'm telling you because I have been there that I have no idea. And when my doula, my beautiful friend Julia, I just be like, you just have to make something because I don't know. I don't know what I want. And her just being like, okay, well, I know we've checked in. I know how your night went. I know kind of what's going on with you right now. So she could use her intuition to be like, I'm going to do this. This is what I'm going to make. This is what we're going to do today. And her ability to take what she gained from listening deeply to me and used her own inner guidance, her own inner voice and wisdom, which is her intuition, to create a system of care for me that was in response to what I was sharing with her. So, deep listening gives us the ability to use our intuition in appropriate ways that truly give the care to someone that is called for at that time. And same thing with, my mothering and my business. I've come so accustomed to just responding to the first feeling that comes up. I know when it comes up. I know something, it's like, I'm like, yes, that's what it is. And that has taken practice. It's taken a lot of like deep inner listening to get really clear on what it is that I'm going for and whatever part of my work or my parenting that is called for. To me, it's become this really clear inner wise guide for me because I've taken the time to listen, and it wasn't always like that. And when I didn't have that ability to fully listen and get quiet with myself, it felt a lot scarier. Mothering felt a lot scarier being a business owner felt a lot scarier. So just getting quiet and giving myself the time to just listen and consider and get to know myself really strengthened my ability to know what was right and wrong in any given situation or what was called for. So with my kids, I can tell, like, if one of them will walk in the room and I'm like, what's going on with you? Hey, how are you doing today? Did something happen today? Or whatever it is, I feel something. So what is that? I know that you have that too. So listening to yourself, listening to others creates the ability to understand deeply and know what is the next right thing. The next one is grounding. So, as I mentioned earlier, the postpartum window is a time where we're very high vata, which means that air element and space element or ether element is very elevated. We have more of this. So, we always have a combination of all the elements in nature within us. But the postpartum window is one where vata dosha goes much higher. And so, this is very light, very spacious. And so, when we think about the qualities that are around us when we feel safe, when we feel held, when we feel secure, this is like a more solid feeling. This is a more stable feeling. So, grounding, being grounded refers to increasing that feeling of I am settled. I am here, I am in myself, and I am being held in a safe way. When we feel ungrounded, we oftentimes are too much in our minds. We're too much up here. We're kind of out there. And we really want to feel a nice balance of I'm here, I'm settled, and I have the ability to be creative, to be motivated, to be sensitive. We want to have a combination of both. But in this postpartum window or any other time where transition is so high, there's so much going on, we feel just overwhelmed by whatever it may be. If it's our health, if it's our relationships, if it's something going on in our lives, we might really need to just bring it down and stable. So this is the grounding principle. So what are the ways that we can do that when we're working with someone postpartum? We can do that really physically with, like, maybe we get a weighted blanket and wrap them with it, put it on their lap. Maybe we, give them a nice warm spiced milk tonic so that they kind of get that heaviness, that warm, that smoothness in the food that they're eating and drinking. Maybe it's just putting our hands on their shoulders or giving them a nice hug. Certainly giving them the opportunity to sleep, because when we're sleeping, we get to enter into the state of inertia, the state of tamas, which is where the cells and the tissues are actually able to start repairing themselves through all of the nourishing foods and efforts that we're doing during the routines. We need that rest. It's sort of like at the end of a yoga practice where we enter into shavasana. We are in the integration time of the practice, and that is the grounding. The next one is non-judgment. When we come into a space of interpersonal relationships or communication and caregiving, by practicing non-judgment, we are giving each individual around us the autonomy to be who they are, to be authentic themselves. We are coming in with a reverence, knowing that you are on your path and I honor you for your path. And my role here is to come in and empower you to know yourself, to know your family, to know your baby. I don't come in with the task of doing for you and teaching you and putting this on you. I come to this path to meet you. My colleague Charlotte has this beautiful perspective of we're not caregivers, we're care partners. We're here to be your partner. You are the one who's doing the healing. I'm here to help facilitate that for you and make it easier and help you to feel empowered that you know your body best, you know your baby best, you know your family best, you know what is right for you. So I am meeting you with this openness to work with you instead of putting things on you. And in anything we do, I think, it's non-judgment can be a really hard one to practice on ourselves. We get very judgy with ourselves. We put very high expectations on ourselves, harder almost than we put on other people. I remember facilitating a new mom circle for a few years before I had my third baby. And I loved this circle so much and the opportunity to hear so many perspectives and hear and just care for the circle of new parents. And one thing I always said at the beginning is we come here not wanting to give advice, but more just sharing what we have experienced. So it's a place not of judgment or direction for people, but just giving space for people to share what is. And it always really set a tone of we're in this together and I'm not alone. I can come as I am. And if I am a mess today, if I feel like I'm a mess today, I'm welcome here anyway. And that safety, that feeling of I am enough, I am enough exactly how I am, is profound in allowing people to find their own voice, to find their own perfect style of parenting for their child, because of course, every baby is different and every person is different. So one person is not going to respond to treatment in the same way another person will. Not every baby is we can have our best intentions, like I am never using a pacifier. That's never happening for my child. Well, sometimes you just don't know, and we might have to eat our words. So having that ability to practice non-judgment for ourselves, to practice non-judgment when we're offering loving care to another person, this is so powerful in allowing for the type of experience that we want to happen to be open. And finally, as we, have rather quickly gone through these universal mother principles, I want to share the one that comes at the end, but certainly the one that opens us up to so much more. And this is presence. Presence. When we give ourselves the ability to fully be in each moment without thinking about what's coming next or without holding on to what came before, to just be, we become fully able to experience the fullness of every quality that's happening in this moment, every astonishing, beautiful opportunity that's here to be in connection and deep in relationship with someone, or fully take in the magnificence of our child's face before us, or fully grasp the messaging that's like if we're reading something, sometimes we can be reading and we're kind of not there. Whatever it is that we're doing, it can feel hard to really put everything else aside and just be in the moment, especially when we become so talented at doing multiple things at one time. We might be listening to someone and cooking at the same time. But where are the moments within all your incredible talent of doing? Where can you just pause and be present? And the deepening of relationship that happens when we just stop and just look someone in the eye, like for a little longer than we would, and really see them. There's an energetic exchange that happens. There's a shifting. I invite you to play with it, maybe with your partner, maybe with your child, maybe with your animal, your dog. Look them in the eye for an extended period of time and experience the exchange that happens when you allow yourself to be fully present. I have found incredible gifts and ongoing and long-standing and deepening every year friendships and loving relationships and um, ongoing connection with clients. Because when we share something profound, if you think about who was there for you when you were going through a hard time, or who were your midwives or your doulas, oftentimes we're like bonded to them for life. Even if we don't see them regularly, they were such an integral part of our lives because they were there for us at one of the most impactful moments that we've ever had. So that is what I'm talking about. That ability to be present fully enables all of these principles to come together. And it enables us to open up to so much more that we might have otherwise never realized was possible. I really hope that this exploration of the Universal Mother principles has started to feel really juicy for you. I do have a mini ebook. I'm working on a much longer book about these principles and how they manifest in postpartum care and in our everyday lives. But I urge you to click on that free link to get the shorter ebook and observe in your day today. What universal mother principle are you needing more of? What principle is most natural and present in your life right now? And how does it change your day, your life, your relationships when you lean into them? I am so excited to hear how this lands for you. So I hope that you'll share with me and reach out and let me know. But thank you so much for listening.
Shanti, Shanti.
The Center for Sacred Window Studies has been training postpartum care providers, professionals who work with new families, and individuals passionate about postpartum care since 2018. We regularly host live free events alongside our online and in-person training and certification programs. Hop on our newsletter list to get direct access to all of our events and community support gatherings. Our mission is not only in training conscious postpartum care providers, but in fostering a robust, informed, and thriving community of postpartum professionals. Once you step inside, you're family forever. Visit www.sacredwindowstudies.com to add your email to our newsletter list. You can support our work by subscribing to the Sacred Window podcast and sharing with someone you know who would love it. Thanks for being here and participating in the culture-wide shift that recognizes the need for and the importance of conscious postpartum care.